Hello and welcome to Who Is Best, a show where I, Claudine, take games no one cares about anymore and make overly researched videos for, I guess, whoever these 5,000 people who wanted to watch Trails in the Sky FC tier lists are. Oh, and there are a lot more Bloodborne fans than I originally thought. Anyway, be sure to subscribe for more unpredictable content. Final Fantasy XIII. Do we still hate this game? I can't quite tell anymore. It felt like most people liked it when it came out. Then like 5 years later, it was the worst game ever. Now it's, I don't know, maybe bad? I'm not sure. Here's hoping Square publishes a remastered trilogy so we can start the conversation up once more. For me personally though, it's a pretty bad game that has an almost perfect battle system that you really can't experience till the final few hours. But has an epic female protagonist that absolutely kicks ass. And this guy here. But a chocobo lives in the stereotypical depiction of a black man's afro, and that's cool. Alright, enough dicking around. Today we're making a tier list of every character's paradigm shift and figuring out which is best. Paradigms are classes with 6 variations. You have the physical attacking commando, the magic wielding ravager, the defensive sentinel, the healing medic, the debuffing saboteur, and my personal favorite, the buffing synergist. I mentioned that Final Fantasy XIII's battle system is near perfect, and I stand by that, mainly because of the stagger mechanic. You see, every enemy has a large amount of HP, and regular physical attacks won't do much until they're staggered. A standard battle would start with a Ravager hitting the enemy with magic while a Sentinel draws their attacks, and a Synergist buffs the party. Once the enemy is staggered, you might switch all 3 characters to the Commando paradigm in order to lay down a boatload of damage. Either way, every class is useful and balanced, but not every character is useful in it. Oh, I should probably mention that there are 6 party members in this game. With 6 paradigms each, that means that you have a total of 36 builds, with an incredible assortment of party combinations to choose from. Again, once you've progressed through most of the game. Anyway, I think I've talked enough. Let's get started with the here. Vanille, as a synergist, lacks this paradigm's most important spell, Haste, and what other spells she has are situational at best. Due to Vanille's incredibly slow attack animation and terrible strength, she makes for one of the worst commandos in the game. Sazh is the worst character in Final Fantasy XIII due to terrible stats and the slowest attack animations. He really only does one paradigm well, and we'll get there later, but he may be one of the worst saboteurs in the game, lacking most important spells. Sazh is also a terrible medic, with the same spells as Snow but a lower magic stat and again, terribly slow animations. Because Sazh doesn't have Reprieve and Metaguard, he may also be the worst Sentinel in the game. Hope is also a terrible Sentinel with the same unique build as Lightning, but he sucks at it. Lightning, unfortunately, makes it to our tier as a Saboteur. This is mainly due to lacking any and all useful skills and being outclassed by all other characters. The final member of the tier is Fang as a medic. She has a few good skills, but absolutely no magic stat to back them up. The low tier. Hope holds up as a commando only against enemies weak to magic, as his boomerangs suck, but with Ruin he does alright. Sazh makes a low tier commando due to his speed and terrible stats and lack of a launch attack. That being said, his blitz can be effective in certain situations. Lightning is your early game medic, but by the end game, she'll be outshined by so many others. Snow makes his first appearance on this list with his Synergist class, which is passable. Alright, because this list is pretty big, we're going to break up the mid tier into 2 parts, so let's get started with the lower mid tier. Surprising as it is, Vanille actually makes a decent Sentinel as she has both better HP and defense than Hope, and also gains the Reprieve spell, which helps in late game battles. Fang isn't the first you think of when it comes to the Synergist class, but if you're willing to put in the time, she isn't too bad. That is if you're controlling her. If not, her AI sucks. If the enemy is weak to Daze, then Snow's Saboteur can be almost god tier, as it's the single best Daze spammer in the game. If not, then he's not worth having around. Snow's medic is also pretty decent, as he has both okayish magic and incredible defense and HP, making him the tankiest healer in the game. The final member of the lower mid tier is Lightning's Sentinel. Unlike all the characters, she is built as an evasion tank. This makes her situationally useful. Alright, let's move on to the upper mid tier. Our first Ravager appears on this list as it's one of the most useful and game-breaking classes in the game, and Fang does this paradigm fairly well as it's less about the magic stat and magic damage and more about chaining, and Fang is one of the best, though you unlock this paradigm so late and it takes so much work that you might just pass on it. Vanille's Ravager is unfortunately plagued by her terrible speed and lack of vigor, though her magic stat tries to make up for that. Unfortunately, she's one of the worst chainers due to these reasons. Hope makes an average saboteur as he is best suited to debuffing mobs. The glaring issue is when he goes up against bosses and lacks single target spells, making him less than ideal. Snow also makes a passable, maybe slightly above average commando. Fang blows him out of the water, but Lightning only beats him out if built correctly. The final member of the upper mid tier is Fang's Sentinel. She's a slightly downgraded version of Snow's Sentinel, which still lands her in the upper tiers. The top tier. Fang makes one of the best saboteurs in the game. She has fast animations, almost all important skills, and the Pandora Spear. If she had death, she would compete for best saboteur in the game. Hope's Ravager makes the third best chainer in the game with the highest magic stat of any character. Slap on Last Resort and you have a decent endgame mage. Hope is also a decent endgame medic as well. Again, because of his high magic stat, his heals hit hard. If he had better survivability, he might have beaten out Vanille. Lightning is the second best commando in the game. Her high speed, mid strength, and Axis Blade make her devastating in the right situations. Lightning also makes a damn good synergist when push comes to shove. Though she struggles with animations, she does get the majority of the spells. Just be ready to grind. Saz makes it to the top tier barely due to being the single best early and mid game synergist. His weapons are built for this paradigm and accessing haste early on is a lifesaver. But in the end game, due to Hope's better versatility, he'll most likely be replaced. The God tier. Snow and Lightning compete for best Ravager in the game, and to be honest, it's really hard to decide who is better as they both excel here. Snow is the faster spellcaster with wicked fast animations, but Lightning has better equipment and for what it's worth, better stats. Snow is the best Sentinel and there's just no contest. There isn't another character better suited to tank attacks, and as he makes a decent AI partner, this is a very good thing, as the developers seem to overlook the fact that the controlled party member dying leads to a game over, so you probably don't want that person to be your tank. Hope is an average synergist until chapter 12. Then he becomes the best, as he both is equal to Saz in every way other than acquiring vigilance, and also makes a top tier medic and Ravager. Vanille is the best medic in the game as she has the stats and skills required while also being a decently tanky character. Vanille is also the best saboteur in the game as she is the only character that gains the most broken spell in Final Fantasy XIII, Death. Though she does lack the useful slow spell, you just can't pass on this absurdly abusable late game tactic. And the final member of the God tier and final member of this list is Fang's Commando. She doesn't just have the highest damage potential of any character, but she also has all the skills required to obliterate any boss. Oh, and don't forget her busted skill Highwind. And that's our list. How do we do? If you enjoyed this, don't forget to check out my video on Lightning Returns Garbs. And if you're interested in supporting the channel, why don't you check out my Patreon, where I have a bunch of perks for my viewers. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll catch you all later.